All right, we are live. Man, I didn't really prep for this as well as I wanted to. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump straight into this for anybody who's watching. I kind of just wanted to make a video really quickly. I didn't want to have to worry about editing anything or anything down, anything has to do with that. So let's go ahead and get right into this. Before we get into all the Disney announcements, everything that's just come out via, everything with Star Wars and Marvel and Disney and all of those things, let's go ahead and get straight into something I wanted to talk about recently, which was the passing of David Prowse, who played the body of Darth Vader inside the suit of the original trilogy. Yeah, that was really sad for me to hear that day. I had some stuff going on in my personal life here that I didn't have a moment to like. It just didn't feel right to be able to like just turn the camera on and talk about somebody passing right now with everything that was happening. So I did make that quick little memorial video that I did upload, and I kind of was able to do that in a quick like 10 or 15 minutes, get it up, and just kind of have something to commemorate him. I actually met David Prowse at Star Wars Weekends in Orlando, Florida, here at Star Wars Weekends at MGM Studios back in the day. I actually tried to find the picture and I couldn't find it. I actually mean to do a video soon that will be kind of all the different Star Wars celebrities that I've gotten to meet over the past, chunk of my life. And yeah, I wanted to find that photo, but I did want to just make mention really quickly about the passing of David Prowse. Super sad to hear about that. I'm glad to have met him, and I'm super grateful for the role he played in the Star Wars films. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and just get into all of the announcements that they announced just yesterday at the Disney Investors thing. Really exciting news. I have to imagine you guys are pretty excited as well. There was so much that came out. I'm just going to be kind of reading off of something here, just kind of giving my thoughts. So for anybody who's watching, if you want to chime in on anything, if there's anything you want to say, if there's anything that maybe, stuck out to you, things that you were mostly excited for, I definitely want to hear what you guys are excited for moving forward. So let's go ahead and start with the Star Wars stuff because of I talk about a lot of Star Wars stuff here on the channel, and was really excited. Was really excited to see everything that was coming out via Star Wars. One of the first things that I saw was the Rogue One prequel that we've known about for quite some time. That we've now know is titled Andor, the Cassian Andor show that Diego Luna will be reprising his role for, to be playing the character of Cassian Andor from Rogue One. Super excited to see what they go with that. They showed a little bit of a sizzle reel that they released, just kind of them behind the scenes, showing some of the sets and some of the monsters, the creature designs that were going to be in the episodes, and yeah, it was just great once again to see some of these people that you see in the behind the scenes for the various movies and all those different things, the other TV shows, just talking about the amount of love and energy and excitement that they put into these shows and kind of not treating them any differently than movies. So that for me is incredibly exciting. I think that they're going to do some really cool things with the with this series as it continues on. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what the Cassian Andor show does. I hope it doesn't feel like something that was just kind of tacked on. I hope that we do get to get a little bit more about his character. Spoilers if you haven't seen Rogue One, but he does die in that movie as well as everybody else that's the main character. And yeah, I am really looking forward to seeing what they do with his character, what they add to his story. I'm sure we're going to probably see how he meets K2SO, and I'm also curious to see how much earlier than Rogue One the show actually takes place. Is it going to be a multi-season show? Is it going to be, one season? I'm definitely curious to see where they take that Andor show. So that was really exciting to see. And actually, the first piece of news that I saw, I was actually at AT&T last night doing something with my phone. And the first piece of news that I saw that really kind of just made me incredibly excited would easily have to have been finally them showing the logo for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. That was incredibly exciting. I cannot wait for that show. As soon as they announced it and that Ewan McGregor would be coming back to play Kenobi, it was just incredibly exciting. I was surprised that they didn't just call the show Kenobi. I feel like a lot of people were just kind of assuming that it was going to be called Kenobi, and I felt like that would just kind of be a really solid title, but they are in fact calling it Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I am really excited to just see what they do with that show. It's going to take place in between the events of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and we have seen Obi-Wan in that time frame via books and comics. Star Wars Rebels has shown us, him a little bit prior to the events of A New Hope. So I am very much looking forward to seeing how they tie his character into everything, and how, what kind of story they're able to tell there. I am looking forward to kind of just seeing, hopefully, Obi-Wan just kind of being this recluse, this character who, he just lost all his friends. Everybody's just passed away. So I am really excited to see what they do with Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan in that series. And then I think the biggest news coming out of that show, since we already knew it was coming, is that Hayden Christensen will be reprising his role as Anakin Skywalker, as Darth Vader, for the Kenobi show. So I am looking forward to seeing how they do that. That is really exciting to me. I love Hayden Christensen in the prequels. If you guys have seen my reviews for those movies, he's not a fantastic actor in those movies at all times, but I think there's a lot about his performance that I think was really well done. And I've just grew up with those films. I have a soft spot in my heart for Hayden Christensen and those movies, so I very much am looking forward to seeing what that is all about. So yeah, that was something that was definitely really exciting to me. Moving on after that, we did find out about the show called The Acolyte. Apparently it's going to take place near the final era, or the final bit of the era, the new era coming out, the High Republic era. So I'm incredibly excited to see what they do with that. It's going to take place in this new era. So to be able to get a TV show that will be able to expand upon that era that we're about to get new books and comics for, that's incredibly exciting. The Gasper, I see that you said, hey, how's it going, my friend? Thank you for stopping by. Anybody who's watching, please do leave your comments down below of, what you're excited about moving forward with this show and these shows in general. It was really, really exciting. It was really, really exciting to see all of the stuff that Disney released yesterday. I got to say, I genuinely didn't expect it. And yeah, it was definitely a nice treat. I knew that there was going to be stuff announced, but I don't think anybody could have expected the just how much we actually did get. We got so much. For anybody who's wondering why I'm sitting here on my phone, I am just kind of posting this online. I forgot to post the live stream online. Sal says, I'm excited for everything. As am I, man. I'm going to break down everything. I've already talked about, briefly, the Rogue One spinoff, for Cassian Andor. It's going to be called Andor. Talked a little bit about the Kenobi series and the Acolyte. And we're going to get into everything else right now. I just want to post this on Facebook and Twitter so that people can come check it out. Let me go ahead and do that really quickly, and then we can go ahead and get right into this. So beyond all the news that we got from Star Wars, I mean, man, all the Marvel news, like, we're literally in a time that we will genuinely never run out of something to watch. I was talking to my girlfriend about that this morning, where it's just this thing where there was once a time where, I felt like people could catch up. It was things could be part of the conversation. And nowadays you either are keeping up or you're not going to be able to catch up. You know what I mean? It's not that it's not possible, but at this point you have to kind of pick and choose what you care to keep up with, because if not, there's just going to be so much content that continually comes out. And with Star Wars, I do wonder if it's going to become something for a lot of people that is just too much. I know so many people already who don't want to watch the Star Wars movies because of the fact that there are, 11 movies now, I believe. Yeah, there's 11 movies, and there's, 3 animated series and now a live action series. And in some way, shape, or form, they all tie into each other. And so that's something that's, it is off-putting for some people. But man, for me, it's just so exciting to see all this Star Wars content coming out. Sal, you say that on the Star Wars front, at least. Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. You know me. I love Star Wars. Wearing a Vader shirt right now. I cannot wait to see what they do with all the Star Wars stuff. So let's move on with more of the announcements that they talked about. Real quick, also, it is going to be a female-led driven series. That show that I was just talking about, The Acolyte, that's going to take place during the High Republic era. I am really excited to see what they do with that. There's just so much potential for this new era to unfold in the books and comics, and the ability to be able to see that new era brought to screen so soon is incredibly exciting to me. So it just goes to show that I think we're slowly going to start, over the course of a lot of time, we're going to slowly start moving away from the Skywalker area of time. So I am looking forward to seeing what we do next. But one of the other things that they also what's it called? Sal says, sorry, I'm not more engaged. I'm playing Cyberpunk. Hey, man, you're here. You're listening. That's totally okay. You've already commented more than anybody else because nobody else is here watching. But I just wanted to make this video this way because I felt it'd be easier than just filming something. I actually just filmed a review collab that I'm going to be doing with Blacktastic Media for the movie Beaches from 1988, starring Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey. So if anybody's interested in that movie or the review, I will have that up shortly, probably tomorrow or something. But yeah, you see, you're playing Cyberpunk. I hope it's good, man. I've heard, some glitchy things about it, but that always tends to happen with movies or games when they first launch. So I am excited to play it at some point down the line. And I'm at a point now where I don't really buy games at launch anymore, simply because I just feel like there's always deals. You know what I mean? Like we're at a place where like within a few months, there's always like significantly discounted deals and sales on the various platforms that you can buy games. So I will probably play it at some point, but I'm going to wait just a little bit. But another show we ended up hearing about is some sort of event series about Lando Calrissian. They did not announce if it was going to be Billy D or if it was going to be Donald Glover playing the character, but I am really excited to see what they do with that show. A part of me would like to see maybe both characters come back, maybe kind of show us like flashbacks with Lando as younger as Donald Glover, maybe some more current stuff with Billy D. I really want to see them kind of be able to do something with that finale, that final moment of the Rise of Skywalker that we do see Lando in, where he's talking to the character of I think his name is Jana or Jaina. I could be wrong about her name. I don't really remember her name too well, but it's the other character that was a stormtrooper defector. She was a first order defector, similar to Finn. And at the end of the movie, she's talking to Lando, and he's kind of like, where are you from? And she says where she's from, and it was almost a lot of people walked away from that thinking, is this Lando's daughter? Is this somebody that Lando is trying to get with? I saw a lot of different interpretations from a lot of different people, and they ended that with still kind of an open page to tell more story. These characters that kind of have apparently some sort of tie that's kind of hinted at, and it's like, hey, I'll help you find where you're from, but then that's where the saga ends. So it's kind of like, why did they do that near the end? So I kind of would like to see them do that with the Lando series, but there's a lot they could do, and I'm just open to it either way. So I am looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with the Lando show. Moving forward, we also did hear about 2 Mandalorian spinoffs, one of them being the Ahsoka spinoff. Now, I talked a little bit about it on Facebook when they first announced it, and I mentioned it in my review for the episode that had Ahsoka in The Mandalorian. Of course, if you are watching this, I am going to talk a little bit of spoilers, and not too much, but at this point, I can only imagine that you've already heard that Ahsoka is in the show. You've probably seen the things posted online. It's kind of inescapable at this point if you have anybody who's a friend that is a fan of Star Wars. And when they announced that Rosario Dawson was playing Ahsoka, I wasn't thrilled about it. I'll be completely and utterly honest. I love Rosario Dawson as an actress. I think she's phenomenal. I want to make sure that I highlight that. But I was just so stuck on Ashley Eckstein being the character of Ahsoka. Now, with that said, if you guys saw my review for that episode, The Jedi, I loved it. I had a great time with it, and I really did thoroughly enjoy Rosario Dawson as the character. And the more that I've spent, and the more time, what I was trying to say is the more time I've spent watching that episode, I've seen it a few times now, and I've specifically rewound and watched the bits with her speaking. I've been more and more sold on it with each and every go, because as you're watching it, what I really enjoy about Rosario Dawson's performance is the cadence in her voice, the way that she'll say the lines of dialogue, the pauses that she'd take between words, the way she would elongate certain words when she would say them. That was the stuff that really spoke to me while I was watching it, because I felt like, she definitely paid attention to the way that Ahsoka speaks. And I think that more than anything was the most important thing to me that really sold me on the character. She looked great as the character, though it's hard to kind of like not see Rosario Dawson. I guess if I ever thought of Ahsoka live action, I never thought somebody that looked like Rosario Dawson, you know what I mean? So Rosario Dawson's a beautiful actress. She looks badass. So in no way, shape, or form does she look bad. I think she looks cool. There's some great shots. I have some things saved on my phone, some great images of her within the episode with her white lightsabers. I mean, she looks badass in the show. Don't get me wrong. But all this to say that there's just a part of me that's still a little conflicted about the Ahsoka thing. So then to hear that there's an Ahsoka series coming on with Rosario Dawson, it just kind of makes me sad a little bit for Ashley Eckstein. Ashley Eckstein has been 100% in support, at least on social media, about it. But I can only imagine she kind of is a little sad that her character is moving forward with a live action TV show that's going to get a lot of eyes and a lot of talk, that doesn't have her as the character, even though everything that was established of Ahsoka was done by Ashley Eckstein in the Clone Wars and Rebels. And I guess one thing, just as like a continuity geek, even though Star Wars has always had these little issues with continuity, I think one thing that kind of messes with my heart a little bit is that in The Rise of Skywalker, at the end when Rey kind of calls on all the Jedi kind of appear to talk to Rey. We hear a ton of voices, including Anakin Skywalker and Mace Windu, Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and one of those voices is Ahsoka. It's a little brief moment, and you do hear Ahsoka Tano in there, and it's played by Ashley Eckstein, and that takes place after the events of The Mandalorian. So for me, there's just that continuity inconsistency that kind of just irks me a little bit and kind of makes me twitch a little bit on the inside. It's not the end of the world, you know. In no way, shape, or form does it ruin it for me. I really did like Rosario Dawson in the episode. I just felt like there was just something about it that just, like, for me, having that attachment to Ashley Eckstein's performance and her voice, and then having her have done the voice for that brief moment in Rise of Skywalker, there's a part of my nerdiness inside that's like kind of twitching about it. And I really hope, if anything, that Ashley Eckstein gets a cameo role or just a role maybe in general in the show, you know, like maybe something where, I don't know, maybe it's a droid or something. I feel like she should be a part of the show. It's something that I really hope does happen. The Miami Movie Man says, I agree there was nothing wrong with the live action interpretation, but Eckstein's voice is just so intertwined with the character for us. Yeah, no, I totally agree, man. It's one of those things that it's one of those things that it just kind of like irks me a little bit. You know what I mean? South says they haven't been consistent with Ahsoka's lore since the Ahsoka book. I don't know. I think the Ahsoka book did a good job, but there's definitely some things that they kind of, you know, it just kind of happens. At the end of the day, with Star Wars, there are so many books and comics and all these shows, and they all interconnect with each other. And if you really want to thoroughly enjoy The Mandalorian to the fullest of the extent, you know, even with small lines of dialogue, like Ahsoka saying, "Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" The weight behind a lot of little lines of dialogue and references, and these characters appearing, Bo-Katan having this very passionate discussion with Din about the Darksaber, all of that, the weight comes from watching these other things. And so when you throw these characters into books and comics and all these things being written by different people, there's going to be inconsistencies. It's kind of impossible. I know one of the big things people were complaining about when we got the finale of the Clone Wars was that Ahsoka's lightsabers in the Clone Wars were blue, where I believe in that portion of the story inside the book, I believe they were green. I may be incorrect on that, but yeah, there's always going to be these inconsistencies that that are going to happen in Star Wars. You know, like one of the biggest ones that I think everybody always kind of mentions is Kenobi not really remembering R2-D2 in A New Hope. You know, they kind of have brushed that over a little bit in some of the comics. I believe there's a comic where they kind of show it like from a different angle that Kenobi did kind of, you know, recognize R2, that he says something to R2 on the side. But when you watch The New Hope, it's like, dude, how do you not remember R2? You've been on like a million missions with this guy. You know what I mean? So that was one thing. You know, some people say, oh, he was lying, but there is that element of like feeling like that was a bit of an inconsistency in the storytelling. And there's always going to be stuff like that in Star Wars. So it's not ruining it for me in any way, shape, or form. But as a huge fan of Ahsoka, as somebody who I can honestly say, when Ahsoka was first introduced in that first Clone Wars movie, I was not a fan of her character, and over the course of the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I've just become such a huge fan. I've also met Ashley Eckstein on a number of occasions, whether it was as a fan. I have pictures with her. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video before anybody joined, that I'm going to be doing some sort of like all the Star Wars actors I've met kind of video, because I've met a lot of Star Wars actors. I have posters filled with autographs. There's been a lot of them that I have been able to meet and got autographs, but I wasn't able to get a picture because I just didn't have the money for the photo op as well. And there's plenty that I actually met in person and, you know, and got like images or pictures with them, including people like Billy D. Williams, David Prowse, like I mentioned earlier, Ray Park, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Peter Mayhew, Jake Lloyd, so many actors, and Ashley Eckstein is one of them. And Ashley Eckstein is actually friends with my mom. They're not like the closest of friends, but my mom knows her really well. And every time that Ashley Eckstein has ever seen my mom, she instantly recognizes her. She knows her name. And the last time I met Ashley Eckstein, it was because my mom called out to her and she came over and she talked to us. And it's just kind of pretty cool because my mom would go to all of the Ahsoka or Ashley Eckstein events if she would do something here in Florida for like her universe or stuff like that. So she kind of built this bond with her. And so being able to meet her, she's just this really nice, sweet girl, this really nice, sweet lady who loves the character. She's so passionate about Ahsoka. And so to see the character moving on without her, it's kind of irking me a little bit on the inside still. But I did really enjoy Rosario Dawson, and I can tell Rosario Dawson is a fan. She definitely did her homework on how to speak and how to perform as Ahsoka. So in no way, shape, or form is this a diss towards Rosario. I think she's a fantastic actress, and she showed it in that episode, as well as all of the things that she's been in. She's just truly a fantastic actress, and I really do love her. So I look forward to the Ahsoka show. I have a feeling that's where we're going to see Sabine Wren make an appearance again, and my bet would be that that's where we're going to finally see. Like, I'm assuming that it's going to be the spiritual successor to, or the sequel series to Rebels, where we'll finally get to maybe see where Ezra Bridger and Thrawn are. So I am very much looking forward to that. For anybody who's watching this, if you have not watched the Clone Wars and Rebels, get on it. I think the only Star Wars show that you can miss right now, as far as you don't have to watch it, are the 2 seasons of Star Wars Resistance. I think that though I enjoyed the show, it is the weakest of the shows. It is the more for the younger audience type of show. And I think that it doesn't have anything that directly ties to all these other shows the way that they do. I think that there's no way, even though you can watch Rebels and it's its own thing, you can't appreciate all the characters that appear that are from Clone Wars only, and the story that goes around them without having watched the Clone Wars. And same thing now with Mandalorian. I know so many people who are going back and watching Clone Wars and Rebels and trying to catch up simply because of the fact that they feel behind. They feel like they're missing out on something. They're able to follow the story because the Mandalorian does a great job of setting up its own narrative, but there's something there that they're missing just a little bit. So yeah, that was one of them that talked about. And then we also heard about Star Wars Rangers of the New Republic, which I'm assuming has something to do with Cara Dune. I had heard some rumors about the New Republic and kind of some sort of setup going on there through the Mandalorian. So I am looking forward to that. We haven't had a lot of New Republic content on screen. We've gotten some stuff in the books and comics, of course, but I am looking forward to seeing some on-screen New Republic setup and some more story there. So yeah, that's definitely exciting. And all in all, as a Star Wars fan, I'm not complaining. I'm just happy that we're getting all this content. The Ahsoka thing is just something that still I'm getting used to just a little bit. We also got a teaser trailer for The Bad Batch, which was a spinoff of the final season of the Clone Wars, where we got to see this group of characters called the Bad Batch that are essentially these clones that are kind of, they were defective, essentially. They all came out a little bit different. They don't all look like your typical clones. Some of them look kind of like the clones, but there's slight variations to their jawline and their face, maybe their size, but they all have their own specific kind of advantages. One of them is a sharpshooter. One of them is kind of like a Rambo character. One of them's the brute. One of them's the tech guy. And it kind of feels like your typical, like almost like video game, like squad of characters. But yeah, there are 4 episodes at the beginning of the new season of the Clone Wars. Was absolutely awesome. Really thoroughly enjoyed the action and just kind of this very different feel and vibe to these clones that we've spent a whole series with, and now we have these characters that are substantially different. And so I did really thoroughly enjoy them being brought into the whole story. Plus, you have D. Bradley Baker, who plays the clones and plays tons of characters on the Clone Wars and Rebels, but he plays the clones, and he does such a great job of already making all the clones that sound the same, having a different personality, a different inflection in their voice, a different kind of tone to the way they say certain words, a different cadence to their voice. And when the Bad Batch was introduced, it's kind of a similar thing. He had, the ability to play these characters that more so than any of the other clones have a very different and distinct voice. And he was able to do that while also retaining that general sound of what all the clones sound like. So I have to praise D. Bradley Baker. I've also met him, and he's a really, really nice guy, really, really cool guy. I'm really grateful to have met him the times that I have. And I look forward to the Bad Batch, and good for him. I'm sure he's excited. He gets to continue working in Star Wars, even though he already was, and being able to, essentially be the main voice for that show. It's so funny watching these scenes with the clones, especially with the Bad Batch in the last season, where you just really take, you stop watching for a moment and you're just thinking, it's like, man, this guy it's just him talking to himself for like 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, he has all these characters and he's really selling you on them all being different characters, which just goes to show his talent as a voice actor. What else did we get? We got some reveals of a anime anthology project for Star Wars called Visions. I don't know too much about that one yet, but I am excited to see what happens. I think there was also something called a droid story that I believe is going to touch on kind of R2 And 3PO is supposed to be something more for like younger audience, to my understanding. I believe it's kind of like a play on the old Droid show from back in the day, the animated show. So I am looking forward to that. We also got word of our first Star Wars movie that's releasing that we know of right now, and that is the Patty Jenkins film called Rogue Squadron. Anybody who's a longtime Star Wars fan and video game fan knows that there was video games called Rogue Squadron, and yeah, I am really excited to be able to have movies that focus primarily on X-wing pilots. I haven't been able to watch a lot of people's reactions, but I'm a huge fan of the channel Star Wars Explained. I got to meet those YouTubers as well, and they're huge into Star Wars. They do great lore videos and tons of great stuff. And yeah, it was great. It's really great to see that they're going to be doing some sort of X-wing pilot kind of show, because I know that the Alex from Star Wars Explained is a huge fan of the pilots in Star Wars and starfighters. So I can only imagine that he's ecstatic about this, and I sure am too. I love that we're getting this very diverse Star Wars storytelling. Like if you're into the bounty hunter stuff, we have the Mandalorian, which also has that drizzling of the Force in there. You know what I mean? If you're into very like more boots on the ground action stuff, we got Bad Batch coming. If you're into something like Kenobi, that's going to, I'm sure, touch on the Force and kind of be more of a secluded, more contained story, or at least I assume it would be based on the character and what's happening. Ahsoka is going to be probably this more grand, big action show that's going to be able to expand on the end of Rebels. And man, there's just so much coming out. If you're into Star Pilots, we have that kind of show coming out, and Acolyte, being able to touch on the High Republic era. I think that if anything, they're really giving everybody a little bit of flavor of all the different things that make Star Wars so awesome. If you're into fantasy, if you're into action, you got that. But if you're also into spiritualism and some more deep thinking stuff, there is that kind of stuff in Star Wars. If you're into vehicle based stuff, whether it's racers or pilots who, are just, starfighters, you have that kind of stuff via the books and the comics and the video games and the movies. And now we're getting these shows, and there's just so much more that's going to be able to show, I think, what the books and comics always been able to do. When people were complaining about all these movies being announced and these shows, for me, it was like, as a Star Wars fan, I've been spending all of my life reading books and comics that have expanded the Star Wars universe. And I've always thought to myself, certain things felt like, wow, that worked really well as a book, and it probably should remain as a book. But there were so many cases where I read something or I watched something and I thought to myself, yeah, like this is something that should easily be a movie. This is something that could have easily been expanded upon in a film, but it's kind of limited to your imagination with the pages. And sometimes that's a positive for some people, and sometimes that's a negative. For me, it's just simply like I've always known the potential for Star Wars to have more on-screen storytelling that we get in these books and comics, and so that is something I'm incredibly excited for moving forward. That we are getting this very deep and diverse kind of set of storytelling. Plus, Patty Jenkins doing Rogue Squadron. She's done great job with the Wonder Woman movie, and I can only imagine that the sequel is going to be great too. Can't wait to see that. I'll have that review up as soon as I can. But yeah, I'm incredibly excited about that. And they also talked about a Taika Waititi film that was untitled. They didn't really talk too much about it, but that is, I think, all of the Star Wars stuff. Really excited about all of it. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And, I can't wait to see how it all ties in. And to anybody who's watching this, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it after the fact, if you have not watched the Clone Wars, Rebels, please do yourself the favor. If you are a fan of Star Wars, if you're enjoying the films, even if you don't enjoy certain elements or certain films, but you still plan on keeping up, maybe you're watching The Mandalorian and it's kind of surged your excitement, reinvigorated your excitement for the franchise, but you're finding yourself a little lost with some of these characters appearing that you don't know, but other people are excited about. Just do yourself the favor and watch the Clone Wars and Rebels so you can keep up and make sure that you're up to date with the story, because at the end of the day, Star Wars, it moves fast. It has a lot of interconnectivity, and sometimes that can work for some and not work for others. And it can kind of take away from the full-blown experience if you are not fully invested in what's happening. At least that's my viewpoint on it. So let's look at some of these comments I got here. 123 Rock Fan says Rogue Squadron sounds great. Yeah, totally agree, man. I'm glad that you think so as well. The Miami Movie Man says, I think I'm most excited about Visions. It's just such a neat concept, like a Fantasia style series set in the Star Wars universe. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that, man. It's something that seems really cool. It seems like it's going to be something different. And again, that's what I'm loving about all this announcements, is that there is this big amount of diverse stuff, the more serious canon stuff, and maybe some more fun, silly stuff that kind of has always lended itself to Star Wars. 123 Rock Fan, do you like Chris Evans replacing Tim Allen as Buzz? On first thought, no. I really enjoy Chris Evans as an actor, so I'm hoping that he sounds good in the role and that he's able, similar to what Rosario Dawson did with Ahsoka Tano. I hope that they're able to, he's able to kind of maintain that cadence of Buzz Lightyear, because I am a huge Toy Story fan. I haven't gotten around to doing the reviews here on the channel yet. Like, the part that's kind of like a downfall with having a YouTube channel is there's just so many movies that I want to talk about. Maybe it's something I just recently saw, so I want to kind of review it as soon as I can. But I love the Toy Story movies so much. Those first two movies were a huge part of my upbringing, and I can only imagine it's the same for so many others. And Toy Story 3, I remember coming out and thinking that was like a beautiful, finale to the series. I like cried in theaters. I saw it multiple times in theaters. I've loved that movie ever since. And I really thoroughly enjoyed the fourth film as well. It wasn't my favorite, but still really liked it. And, Tim Allen, he is that character. And we've also received tons of these Toy Story shorts that you guys, I'm sure, have seen or at least heard of, that you can find on Disney Plus. And they used to come on like Blu-rays and stuff like that. And they're like 30-minute shorts, sometimes shorter, and they would usually get the cast of the movies back for these, little quick animated shorts that were done by Pixar. So for me, that's something that's kind of like, I'm just so tied to Buzz Lightyear being Tim Allen, but I am open to seeing what they do, because I see what you said here. He is playing the man that the Buzz toys were based off, so it doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, I mean, and that's totally fine. Like you said, like he isn't technically replacing Buzz. It totally makes sense to me to replace him with a younger actor, so it's not like something that ruined it for me, but it's just something that is going to take a little bit getting used to. I want to see the trailer. Once I see the trailer, I have. Here's what I'll say. I have faith in the creatives at Disney. People like to, crap on Disney for, remaking this and remaking that and whatever. At the end of the day, there are a lot of incredibly talented creators at Disney who have shown us on various occasions through the various studios that work under Disney that they have so many incredibly talented people who are working on these films. And even the worst of the films typically have tons of things to praise. Chris Evans is a brilliant actor, so I can only imagine that he's going to do a great job. And I have to trust the casting department. I can't imagine that they would have cast him if they felt it wasn't going to be good, Benny Wan says, yes, listen to Anthony. Both shows are amazing and add so much to the lore. Yeah, totally. We're talking about the Star Wars, Clone Wars, and Rebels. Please do yourself a favor. Watch them. Trust me. I have a lot of friends. Rashaji Reviews, right before I started filming this, was sending me a voice message because he just recently started his venture on the Clone Wars. I think he's on season 3. He may be further than that, but I think he's in season 3. And it's been great to see him like falling in love with the show that at first he thought he wasn't really going to be crazy about, but to see his excitement as the show continues on is great. I think it's one of those things where a lot of people think, oh, animated Star Wars, cartoon Star Wars, that doesn't sound good to me. But then they watch it and they're like, wow, this is pretty good. I remember when I showed it to my girlfriend for the first time, it took me a little bit to get her into the idea of watching it, but she didn't want to stop. And the second we watched the Clone Wars and finished it, she was like, yep, let's watch Rebels because I'm loving this. And there was just times where she was like, I wanted to watch it with her. And she was just like, can I watch without you? I'm like, please wait for me. I want to see your reactions. So it is one of those things where it's a lot better than I think a lot of people give it credit for. All right. So I rambled on there for a little bit. Let's go ahead and look at some of the Marvel stuff. We learned that we're going to be getting a Secret Invasion TV show starring Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn. That is something that definitely has me excited. And this is for, it's going to be on Disney Plus. And, they showed a trailer for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which we're going to be getting. Another trailer for WandaVision. Those are the two that we're getting first. And they look great. They had said earlier when they first announced these shows that they would be retaining that same movie quality that we see in the MCU films. So I love that they are doing that here. These shows definitely look like they are retaining that original feel and vibe. There's nothing about it that feels like it's going to be like cheap or cheesy, it's not like a made for TV kind of like loses its luster kind of thing. It's going to be something that feels like the same quality of the movies, and you can definitely see that that's the case when you watch those trailers. So I'm incredibly excited for that. Secret Invasion. I thought that would have been a movie. I would have thought that would have been a movie. But hey, we're moving forward into this new era, and to be able to get these MCU tied in films with the actors, shows, with the actors from the movies, and be able to expand and longer storytelling. I can't complain. I'm definitely excited to see where we go with that. We also got word of Ironheart. That's going to be starring Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams. And anybody who's not familiar with Ironheart, she's kind of like a newer Iron Man character, kind of takes over as the new Iron character. And she's like a young black woman who's like really intelligent, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'm not super familiar with the comics. I'm just familiar with who the character is. I've seen imagery, and I've read like a couple panels that I've seen online, but I've never like gotten deep into the character herself. So I am excited for that show, and yeah, super cool that we're getting all these diverse characters getting shows. Armor Wars, which was going to be starring Don Cheadle's War Machine, as he stops to fight Tony Stark's armor tech from falling into the wrong hands. Sounds really cool. I love Don Cheadle as War Machine, as Rhodes, and I look forward to that show. It sounds really great, you know. Baby Groot, which is going to be a series of animated specials revolving around the tiny Guardian of the Galaxy. That's something I'm definitely excited for. Again, similar to what they're doing with like a droid story or like something like Visions for Star Wars. I like that, even though they're giving us this bigger, Marvel content similar to what Star Wars is doing, that we're able to also kind of have this light and fun, Marvel content as well. That's going to be just a good time to watch. Speaking of which, they also announced that we're going to be getting a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which will be directed by James Gunn and will be releasing in the holiday of 2022. So I should also add, a lot of these things are going to take quite some time to release, but yeah, I'm really excited. I'm super excited to see this lineup. I saw a lot of people like freaking out, like, oh my God, this is so much, I'm not going to be able to keep up. But there is also, I think you have to recognize that a lot of these things are going to come out so spaced out, and then they're going to have like, if it's a series, it's going to be the weekly drop of the various, stories. So I am really excited moving forward. I know like on the 24th, the night of the 24th, leading into the 25th, we have Wonder Woman dropping on HBO Max. So I'll be watching that first, trying to get that review out to you guys soon. And then Soul is also dropping at the same time on Disney Plus. So I have decided to watch Soul second and get that review to you guys later. But I'm going to try. My goal is to wake up at 3 a.m, Christmas morning, watch Wonder Woman, review it, upload my review, edit, review, blah, 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 then watch Soul. So I'll probably be dead. So when I do my review for Soul, I will be nothing but my soul. But we will see what happens there. But I'm looking forward to getting all that stuff out. We did hear about Falcon and the Winter Soldier dropping in March of this coming month, with Loki being in May of this coming month. We also got a trailer for Loki. For anybody who isn't familiar what's going on, this is going to be a show based on the Loki that we saw in Endgame that got away when they time traveled back into New York City to get the Tesseract. And so he gets away with the Tesseract, and this kind of has his own adventure. It looks pretty cool. It looks like it's going to be like an alternate universe kind of thing. So I am very much looking forward to seeing what they do there. We also got a little bit of a sneak peek to the What If series. For anybody who's not familiar, the What If series in the comic books were these great comic books where you kind of got to get these alternate universe takes. You know what I mean? Characters that are not typically together, bad guys working with good guys, vice versa, characters that maybe are usually the good guys being the bad guys, just all these various stories. There may be certain characters being different characters, like Tony Stark would be Captain America and vice versa, just like these very over-the-top what-if scenarios. And that's something that I'm super, super excited for, looking forward. I think it's going to be an animated show, and I believe they're going to be having the actors from the movies reprising their roles as the animated versions for these what-ifs. So as a kid, I always loved the what-if comics, and I think that they kind of just allow you to kind of take a break from the main storyline of these characters, everything that was going on in the bigger part of the universe, and just kind of have fun with these very like over the top side stories that were alternate universe that you didn't have to really worry about. So yeah, What If sounds definitely pretty good. And then we got confirmation 100%, even though we had heard it already, that Tatiana Maslany, I believe is how her name is pronounced, will be in, she will be playing the character of She-Hulk in the series She-Hulk, along with all the other shows that we heard, that we've already known are coming out, but they kind of give some more casting information on, with things like Miss Marvel and Moon Knight. There's the Hawkeye series that we've seen that Kate Bishop is going to be in, which is a character I really enjoy, and Haley Steinfeld is going to be playing that character. So I'm really excited for that. But yeah, we also announced that Mark Ruffalo and Tim Roth will be making an appearance in She-Hulk, which is crazy. It made sense to me that Mark Ruffalo was going to be in it because he's the Hulk, but I never expected to see Tim Roth return as Abomination, from the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. So I think that this is the first time really outside of having the general from that movie appear, they really haven't mentioned too much of the Incredible Hulk. It's kind of one of those films in the MCU slate that kind of gets pushed to the side and not really given the recognition that I feel it deserves. So to be able to have Tim Roth coming back, I feel like it's kind of giving some service, some honor to that film that I feel deserves more love than it gets. So yeah, what else do we got here? We also got the confirmation that we will be getting a Fantastic Four movie. So, I think we all knew it was coming. I was surprised we didn't hear any X-Men news, but I was kind of glad about that. I feel like we need the X-Men to kind of take a breather for a little bit. We just got Dark Phoenix not too long ago, and to not confuse random moviegoers, I think it's for the best to kind of just move on and just do something else, talk about something else and do these other characters. But the Fantastic Four, that last Fantastic Four movie was not great. I haven't done a review of it here on the channel yet, but it was definitely not great. And I am looking forward to seeing how Marvel introduces them, because I was always a big fan of the older Fantastic Four movies from the early 2000s. They're cheesy, they're over the top, but I feel like they kind of retained that tone that we saw in the the books and the comics. And the cartoons. Like, I grew up watching the classic Fantastic Four cartoon, and that show was cheesy as all hell. And anytime they appeared in any other show, they were always cheesy. You know what I mean? There was never a time that the Fantastic Four were like, oh, the dark, gritty characters of Marvel. Like, no, they were always cheeseball. So those earlier films that came out in the early 2000s, I always had a soft spot in my heart for. I still do. And so I am looking forward to seeing how Marvel introduces them in. I believe I saw that John Watts is going to be directing, who is the guy who directed the latest two Spider-Man movies, Homecoming and Far From Home. So that's pretty exciting moving forward. Let's see. What else we got here? We found out that Ant-Man 3 will be called Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which is kind of funny. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's kind of funny because I think there has been this joke about the Ant-Man movies that they say quantum or quantum realm like 1,000 times in those movies. So it is kind of funny that they were able to do that. They also announced that both Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau will appear in Captain Marvel 2. I know I also saw that they actually recast the daughter who plays the daughter of Scott Lang, who plays Ant-Man, or Ant-Man, the character of Ant-Man. Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd. His daughter Cassie, I believe I saw that they recast her with a different actress, even though we just saw her in Endgame. I don't really like that. I feel like it's just like, why? I don't know the ins and outs on why they recast her character. But the new actress that they cast doesn't really look anything like her. And it made sense with the recast of Cassie in Endgame because she was much older than the one that we saw in the first two Ant-Man movies. But recast her again, it just kind of seems like, okay, well, part of the charm of Marvel has been that they've only done a minimal set of recast. And, I guess it's not a big deal, but it's kind of just like a recast tends to kind of worry me as far as the the continuity of the character. But we have seen it work out with Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, and you've had what's it called? Don Cheadle coming in to play Rhodes, whereas Terrence Howard played him in the first Iron Man. Some of the comments here, it says Benny Wan says, I feel like the way season 7 ended makes episode 3 a better movie too. Yeah, I was talking about the Clone Wars. Yeah, I totally agree, man. The last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars are some of the best Star Wars ever put to screen. And if you've watched all the Clone Wars, there's so much weight there, but then it also adds so much depth to the story of Revenge of the Sith. 123 Rock Fan says, a lot of Disney animated series surprised me. The fact that we're not getting Moana 2 or a Big Hero 6 2. I have a feeling we're going to be getting those movies at some point, but I am excited. I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit, but we are getting that Moana TV series and the Big Hero 6 TV series called Baymax. So that's something I'm excited for. And then I see that you said that you were really happy that Abomination is back in She-Hulk. Yeah, I am excited about that too. Q Reviews, Rashad, what's going on, guys? Rashad, you said you're taking a break for Clone Wars to be here. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. But definitely get back to the Clone Wars when you're done with this. All right, let's see what else we got that was announced. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness will connect to the events of Spider-Man 3. and that we will be getting Miss America Chavez in that movie. I'm not really too familiar with that character. But then Spider-Man 3, the new Spider-Man coming out with Tom Holland. I mean, wow, we've gotten the confirmation that Jamie Foxx is returning to play Electro. We've gotten the confirmation that Alfred Molina is coming back to play Doc Ock. Two different villains from two different series of Spider-Man movies making a return. Now there's been the rumors of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield making their return, and possible Kirsten Dunst and Emma Stone, and so it seems 100% that we will be getting a Spider-Verse film live action. I think at this point the cat's out of the bag, and I'm really excited to see what they do with that. I think that it can be really well done. Into the Spider-Verse showed us what is possible with the multiverse, and with DC recently announcing that their Flash movie is going to kind of serve as this opening to the multiverse in the DCEU films, that we're getting Michael Keaton back as Batman in that movie. I think, it's just at this point, we're at a time where all bets are off. You know what I mean? We're at a time where they're going to make whatever they want to make at this point. I think that they believe that casual fans at this point already are able to keep up with the multi-universe kind of thing. And so, maybe it's going to get a little convoluted. Maybe it's going to get a little bit crazy. But if you're a fan of comic books, you know that that's just part of the storytelling. Like the multiverse, more so for DC, but for both Marvel and DC, has always been a big player. And I have to imagine after the events of Into the Spider-Verse, after the success of that movie, that they were already thinking about doing a live action version of that. But I feel like after DC's announcement of kind of essentially saying that all of their movies that have ever been released are technically capable of being pulled from and kind of being brought into the same narrative, simply because of the fact that you can just kind of say it was the multiverse. Like, hey, yeah, this person exists, just in a different universe. We saw it on the Flash TV show where Ezra Miller's Flash crossed over. We've seen Brandon Routh play Superman again on the CW DC shows as well. And now with Michael Keaton making an appearance again in the Flash movie, it's just the world of multiverses is opening up. They slightly touch on it in Spider-Man Far From Home. So here we are with this next one. There's been rumors that Deadpool and Daredevil are going to appear. Apparently Charlie Cox has been cast in the movie. So everybody is assuming that it's because he's going to play Daredevil. There is so much that seems like it's going to be happening in that movie. WandaVision is going to directly tie into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness is going to tie into Spider-Man 3. We know that Doctor Strange is also going to be in the third Spider-Man movie, and this is all craziness. There has been images that have released, kind of like leaked images, or not leaked, but just like people who took pictures of like Tobey Maguire apparently showing up to costume fittings. So yeah, we're in a place where at this point, if you aren't keeping up, you're going to be real lost soon, because we're going to start getting all these characters from different movie timelines that we never thought would cross over, starting to cross over, and just kind of using the multiverse as an excuse to do so. But as a longtime comic book fan, I am incredibly excited to see what they do with that moving forward with the Spider-Man movie and with Doctor Strange and with all these shows and movies that are all going to interconnect in some way. Rashad says, is Miles Morales supposed to appear in also the new Spider-Man movie? I haven't seen anything. If anybody has seen something, please leave a comment. But I have not seen anything regarding Miles Morales making an appearance. If you remember, in Spider-Man Homecoming, we got a brief kind of hint and nod at Miles Morales. Donald Glover's character in Spider-Man Homecoming, when Spider-Man actually shows up and kind of like he webs him to the trunk of the car, and he's coming at him with like the voice modulator. He's trying to talk all serious to him. Donald Glover is like not phased at all, and he's just like, you got to work on this part of the job. Like you got to work on being the tough guy, getting the answers out of people. You're not really intimidating, is essentially what he said. And his character, the character that Donald Glover's playing, is Miles Morales' uncle. And in that scene, he briefly mentions that he has a nephew that he wants to kind of take care of. He's got a nephew that he wants to make sure is safe, and that nephew is Miles Morales. So I just kind of wrote it off in that moment in that movie as kind of like a little hint and nod to the character, but I didn't really think they'd be going in that direction. But with the success of Miles Morales recently as a character with Into the Spider-Verse and the video game, I can only imagine that they're going to kind of open that up eventually. And it would be cool to see Donald Glover kind of play. I believe the character that his uncle is the Pouncer, if I'm not mistaken. So that would be cool. 123 Rock Fan says, if they're bringing back dead characters, then could they bring back Uncle Ben? I guess it's possible. It just depends which Uncle Ben they're bringing back. Or are we going to get triple Uncle Ben? I think the one thing I want to see the most, I know this is kind of silly, but there's that meme of the Spider-Mans pointing at each other, like kind of like, who are you kind of thing. Like it's become a meme at this point. They even put it at the end of Into the Spider-Verse. I hope that we get a scene like that with all three of our Spider-Men. If that does happen, I think that'd be funny. I feel like it's kind of a given that we would get a scene like that. Another big news that I was pretty excited to see was that Christian Bale, even though we already knew that he was rumored to appear in Thor: Love and Thunder, that he will be playing Gore the God Butcher. So that's a character that I've always really enjoyed in the comic books, and to think that Christian Bale is playing him, I'm really excited. Christian Bale is a fantastic actor, and he always brings a lot to his roles. To no surprise, I think a lot of people, but I feel like at least it's worth mentioning. Marvel did confirm that they will not be recasting the role of T'Challa in Black Panther. Again, I feel like we would have all kind of, started riots in the street if they would have done that. But I am incredibly excited that that's not the direction that they're going. And I am really excited to see what they end up doing. In the comic books, we've seen that mantle be passed on to many people. But I think most recently his sister in the comic books has it. So I feel like that's kind of the best way to go, in my opinion, but I am very curious to see where they end up going with that. Moving on, we also got news about Indiana Jones 5 being in pre-production, which we've been hearing about for quite some time, but now it's officially happening. It will be releasing in 2022, and it will be apparently the final film to feature Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. They also said it was meant to conclude the series, but we will see. Quite frankly, I hope that they end it here, and if they choose to keep it on, I think that, listen, people had their thoughts on Shia LaBeouf as Mutt in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but I kind of liked him as Mutt. I didn't like all the scenes with him and all the lines of dialogue, but I think that Shia LaBeouf has gone on to show himself as a really talented actor since then with a lot of the movies that he's chosen. And I think he's a different actor today than when he was in that movie. And I can only imagine that if he was given the chance to kind of be a newer Indiana Jones and kind of carry on the mantle and still have that continuity to the previous films, I think they could do something really cool there. I'm curious what you guys think, so please comment down below. We also got word about Noah Hawley's. I don't know how it's pronounced. I think it's Noah Hawley's Alien series that will have what's it called? That will be a series that for FX. So that's something that I'm definitely really excited about. We talked about it briefly before, but we have the prequel Toy Story movie called Buzz Lightyear, or I think it's just called Lightyear. And Chris Evans will be playing the character of Buzz Lightyear. We were talking about it a little bit more up there about the fact that apparently it's based on the character that the Buzz Lightyear toys are made from, so that's why we have a different voice actor playing the character. But I am very much looking forward to seeing what Chris Evans brings to the role, and I look forward to seeing a trailer. I love Pixar. They really have never disappointed me. I think the only time I've seen a Pixar film and was disappointed was maybe Cars 2, and even The Good Dinosaur, but even then, I still really like The Good Dinosaur. I just think it was weaker compared to other Pixar films. But with some of the more recent films, I've really thoroughly enjoyed all the installments that they've released, and there's always a great message and something that tugs on the heartstrings. So I can only imagine this will be similar. We also learned about the fact that, like I mentioned earlier, that Moana I didn't say this one, but Moana will be getting a TV series on Disney Plus, as well as the character of Tiana from Princess and the Frog. That's something I'm definitely excited for. I really enjoy Princess and the Frog. I think it's a very different kind of Disney princess film, and I think it has a lot of heart, a lot of charm, and I do thoroughly enjoy just the overall world. There's a different flavor and feel and vibe to that show, and I think that the character of Tiana and that movie in general has never really gotten the love that I think all the other ones get. I think that even with some of the other animated Disney princess films, they've had straight to DVD like sequels or at least something, TV shows that have expanded on the characters, and I think that it's great. I'm really happy to see that Tiana is going to get a little bit more screen time. Also because she's, I think, the only Black princess character. And as a huge Disney fan, as somebody who goes to Disney World, it's always great to see, the young black girls that are dressed up as Tiana and have this character that they have this love for, that they can feel like they feel represented. You know what I mean? Kind of standing there along next to the other girls that are dressed up as Cinderella and Ariel and all that jazz. So I am looking forward to the Tiana show. I really like The Princess and the Frog, and I love Moana. I haven't done a review for it here on the channel, but I love Moana. So very much looking forward to a show based on that. Rashad says there are only 3 Indiana Jones movies. Only 3. Actually, my friend, I'm sorry, there are 4, but I know what you mean. Everybody wants to say that they had ended with The Last Crusade, and I get it, right? The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is just, it just doesn't hold a candle compared to the other ones, I think. But at the same time, there's something about it that I love, and I just love Harrison Ford. So I enjoy that movie for what it is. I think it's the weakest of the 4, without a doubt. But if we're going to get a new one, I am looking forward to it. And I just hope that it feels kind of like it felt to see Harrison Ford as Han Solo again in The Force Awakens. Like, despite your thoughts, or whatever your thoughts on the end of the movie, as far as where his character ends up at the end of The Force Awakens, I think that his return to the character just felt so real. It felt so tangible, and I really thoroughly enjoy that. You see, 123 Rockfan says the new character design for Buzz was cool. Yeah, definitely. And the animation for these Pixar movies is continually getting insane. If you go and look at like the animation for the first Toy Story movie, which at the time felt groundbreaking, and then you look at like the opening scene of Toy Story 4 where they're like out in the rain, it's incredibly photorealistic, even though it's still an animated movie that has cartoony elements. What they're able to do with the world, the animation, the lighting, it's really, really top-notch stuff. And we're in a really impressive time with animation. You also said that the Zootopia series, which I was going to mention in a moment, there's going to be a segment called The Real Mousewives of Rodentia. That's kind of funny. I didn't hear about that. But Zootopia, I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's called Zootopia Plus. I love Zootopia. I think it's a great, great movie that I've seen multiple times. I saw it in theaters, like I think twice or 2 or 3 times, and I've seen it multiple times since. On the outside, it's a cute, fun story, with 2 unlikely friends that go on this adventure and kind of have to solve this mystery. It's like a nice, like, detective story. But what I really, really enjoy about it, outside of it being on the outside, that kind of cute, fun, whimsical, reference-heavy kind of Disney film, is the fact that at the core of the story is a story of prejudice. You know what I mean? They use the whole predator and prey thing to kind of, in a way, talk about racism and prejudice in general, and how that's kind of been, put in. It's kind of in the nature of a lot of people, and how, or at least it's kind of viewed that way. You know what I mean? That it's kind of like just part of people's like natural instincts. And I think that the movie does a great job of touching on different social classes and different just prejudices in general. If you've seen Zootopia, you know what I mean. But I do thoroughly enjoy that movie. I look forward to doing a more broken down review when I can write some notes and kind of break down my thoughts on that movie. But really excited for that. We also got a brief little trailer or teaser for the Pinocchio movie that's going to be on Disney Plus. With Tom Hanks in it. I believe he's playing Geppetto. We also learned that the movie Raya and the Last Dragon, starring Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, we found out that movie will be foregoing its theatrical release only. It will be coming out on both the theaters and on Disney Plus at the same time, similar to what HBO is doing this coming year with all of their movies. And so that's something I'm incredibly excited for. I am very much looking forward to seeing that movie. Because again, I'm a huge fan of Disney, and their animation just looks top notch. The teaser that they released for it was okay. Like, it wasn't something that blew my mind, but I'm going in with a positive mentality. I think it looked pretty cool. I think it's from the same director of Big Hero 6, which is a movie I really thoroughly enjoy. So I am looking forward to reviewing that. We also learned that Disney and FX renewed It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for a further 4 seasons. Oh, so 4 more seasons. I'm not really too big into that show, but I have seen a couple episodes, and I thought I'd at least mention it for those of you who are fans of the show. We also learned about some new films coming out called Encanto, Disney's Encanto, and Iwaju. So I am looking forward to those movies. I think that there's something that looks pretty cool about the imagery. I think Encanto, they showed like a teaser. I saw a little bit of it. It looks pretty cool. Interpreting the Stars says, "What's up? How's it going?" Says, "Loves that you love Always Sunny." Yeah, that's cool. I know my girlfriend got into Always Sunny not too long ago, and she was thoroughly enjoying it. So she was pretty excited about the continuation of the series. But it's just cool that they're able to do that for people right now. There's so much, so much coming out. We're really never going to run out of things to watch. So some more shows that we learned about. We're going to be getting the Mighty Ducks series, which is bringing back actors from the Mighty Ducks movies back in the day. Really excited about that. Chip and Dale, Big Hero 6, like I mentioned, the Baymax show, Zootopia, and we also learned that we'll be getting the reboot series of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which I'm definitely looking forward to. I enjoyed the first movie that they made years ago. I never read any of the books, so I have no knowledge of that. So I'm simply just reviewing it based on, or giving my thoughts based on the movie itself. But I wasn't I didn't watch all of them, so I don't even know how many of those movies they ended up actually making. But I am looking forward to seeing what this reboot is all about, because I'm a huge fan of Norse mythology and fantasy and all that jazz. We also heard that we're going to be getting a sequel to Hocus Pocus, which is something I'm really excited to do, or he's really excited to see. I wanted to actually do a review for it this Halloween season, but I'm still catching up on all the horror and Halloween reviews that I kind of set up for during Halloween. I literally prepped way too many reviews leading into October, and so I still have so many movies that I have notes for, and then some things I'm doing collabs, and I'm kind of all over the place right now. So bear with me as I catch up on all of those things. Rashad said, no mention of the MCU X-Men. Didn't see anything about the X-Men, and I'm actually okay with that, mainly because I feel like it's still so recent that the X-Men movies ended, and I feel like I kind of want them to. I want there to be this a little bit of a space, with everything that they're kind of setting up. They showed like casting for like Shang-Chi and all these other movies that are coming out under Marvel, and I feel like with everything that we talked about earlier, Fantastic Four and all those other movies and TV shows that I talked about 20 minutes ago. I am, very much just looking forward to kind of them focusing on new characters and expanding on the stuff that we know. And I feel with the X-Men, there's just so many characters and so much to bring in there that I feel like I'm okay with the fact that they can kind of, take a moment and kind of just take a breather from the X-Men stuff. Plus, I am very curious to see how they introduce the X-Men into the MCU, because even as a kid, I always loved X-Men, playing the video games, watching the cartoon series, the various animated shows, and watching the movies. But even in the comics, the X-Men always seemed a little out of place to me, mainly because one of the biggest things about the comic books when it comes to the X-Men and the movies and just the storytelling around the X-Men is the entire idea about them kind of, it's kind of like a metaphor. The whole thing with mutants is a metaphor for prejudice. It's a metaphor for racism, and so that's essentially what it's always been about. The first couple movies in the X-Men, I mean, all the X-Men movies have always touched on it, but like the first one definitely heavily touches on that. And so for me, it's like, how do you bring in that core theme to what X-Men really is into the MCU while you have the Avengers and all these other characters that are kind of praised by the world, despite the times that they've been kind of feared because of their abilities and, the whole thing with Civil War and all that stuff. At the end of the day, I think, characters like Spider-Man and Thor and Hulk and Iron Man, they've always kind of been beloved within the MCU universe. You know what I mean? They're kind of viewed as heroes, especially by the end of everything moving forward, And so it's like, how do you have characters like that, Spider-Man swinging around and everybody's like, yay, Spider-Man, I love you. But then it's like, here's this Wolverine guy. It's like, oh my God, let's kill him. Let's kill him immediately. A mutant? Let's kill them all. We got to eviscerate them all from the world. Oh, but here's Thor flying down from the sky with his big, electric hammer. But it's like, oh no, here's a fat guy called Blob. We got to kill him. Like, you know what I mean? Like that never worked for me. Like the X-Men comics were always so heavily on prejudice and the mutants being these outcasts, but then you have these other superhuman characters that in the end of the day aren't so different from a lot of the mutants in the X-Men universe. So I am curious to see how they're going to tie in the X-Men while also being able to kind of retain that core theme that the X-Men has always been about. Definitely curious what you guys have to say about that in the comments. Prodigious says, what's up, fellow reviewers? What is up, Anthony? How's it going, my friend? Thank you for stopping by. What is your favorite thing that they announced the most? For anybody who's jumping in now, if you are interested, I spent the first chunk of this live stream talking about the Star Wars announcements, which I think if you're, watching this channel, if you're a fan of this channel in any way, shape, or form, it's probably no surprise to you that I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So all the Star Wars announcements, without a doubt, and the Marvel announcements were probably my biggest excitements, but I'm very excited about just the Disney stuff that's coming out overall. Let me look at some other things here in case I missed something. I think that's it. If there's something else I missed that I didn't talk about, please comment them down below. Now that I've done all this, I'm just going to go ahead and put the phone to the side and just kind of talk to you guys. All in all, I think Disney, they came out swinging. They are letting us all know immediately that there's going to be a place for absolutely everybody on Disney Plus, and that just kind of made a light bulb go off in my head. We also learned that there's going to be an adult, kind of more mature content section on Disney Plus called Star, I believe, and it's going to be where a lot of the other stuff that they acquired from FX is going to be on Disney Plus. And in the image I saw, it kind of had just like some posters in the background. I saw things like the Devil Wears Prada or Bob's Burgers or the Alien franchise, the Deadpool movies, stuff like that. So a lot of the stuff that they acquired from FX, it looks like they're going to have some sort of, adult section. Let's see. 123 Rock Fan says that you saw that there's going to be an R-rated content section on Disney Plus. I think that's amazing. They're really going to show. They're really showing us that Disney Plus is going to be the place to be. Disney owns Hulu, which I also have, or they own the majority share in it. So I'm curious if they're going to bring over a lot of the content that they own that's on Hulu right now, because Hulu is kind of their place for the more adult content. Once it transfers over to Disney Plus, I have a feeling they'll just kind of rip that away from Hulu, and it makes me wonder if they'll just dissolve Hulu altogether. But for me, this is exciting. I love the idea of having it all in one place. I love the idea of Disney being able to recognize, hey, Disney is ginormous. Sure, it's a family company. Sure, it's about, everybody coming to Disney World, meeting Mickey Mouse. I'm Mickey, and a Goofy, yuck, all that great stuff, all that fun, silly, goofy kid stuff that everybody loves. Going riding the rides and getting your Mickey Mouse ice cream bar, all that jazz. But on top of that, it's also, and you got the family entertainment and stuff like that. But things like Star Wars have, even though it's very much for families, has had darker elements to it and some very heavy themes about slavery and murder and all these different things. And I think that even that's already on their platform, and there's other things that already touch on some serious things. You already have the Marvel movies that have, their sprinkling of language throughout the movie, and it only made sense that eventually they realized, hey, there are so many millions and millions of Star Wars, of Disney fans that are fans of the Star Wars stuff, the Marvel stuff, the Disney stuff. Look at me. I love watching myself something just heavy, something just, something deep and dark and gritty and gruesome. And I love that kind of stuff. I also love watching like classics like Aristocats that I just absolutely love. I love going back and sitting there and just singing along and watching Disney stuff. Like I love that. Anybody who's been watching this channel for a while, I've done a bunch of Disney Channel original movies this year. I have a big soft spot for the cheesy Disney stuff, the stuff that's for kids and stuff like that, because I feel like I'm still a big kid at heart and I grew up with this stuff. And so I still indulge in the new stuff, the new stuff that comes out that people go, oh, that's for kids. I'm like, oh, I'm totally 100% a part of it. I love it, because then when I get to go to the parks and I see the new characters appear from the animated movies that I'm keeping up with, it's great. I love to be able to be a part of the Disney world as an adult, and also be able to be a part of the adult films and stuff like that I'm able to enjoy from being an adult. So, it just goes to show that we're in a time where Disney's recognizing there are so many I keep trying to say so many Star Wars fans, so many Disney fans that are huge fans of everything from the more cutesy Star Wars, oh my God, I said Star Wars again, the cutesy Disney stuff to the more heavy, just films in general that are under the Disney slate. I actually right before this, I filmed my review for the movie Beaches. That's going to be a collab review with Blacktastic Media. And it's a movie from 1988 starring Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey. It's a movie about friendship. And I actually got that movie through Disney Movie Rewards. I redeemed my the points that I had on that website, and I got like a mystery movie, and that's the movie I ended up getting. I talked a little bit about that in the review. I'll have that review up maybe later tonight or early tomorrow. And in that in that movie, I got it from Disney Movie Rewards, but I was pretty shocked to see that in the movie there was like literally like at the beginning of the movie, there's a kid smoking a cigarette. There's a lot of sexual suggestion, but I got this movie from Disney Movie Rewards, so it's clear that Disney owns a lot of content that's a little bit more adult leaning, and I think it's exciting to know that we're going to be getting this, this other section to Disney Plus that's going to be able to, give everybody a little bit of something, like you can have the adults who want to still use Disney Plus and not just view it as something for kids, but you can also use it for kids, you know what I mean? And for families and for everybody, it's going to become like a everybody kind of thing, which is what, Netflix and Hulu really thrived on. And I think Disney Plus was lacking on a little bit, but that's not going to be the case anymore. 123 Rock fan says, what do you think of Pixar's Luca? They showed some clips and animation looks incredible. I didn't see anything about Luca. I did see the title, but I did not see anything about Luca, so I'll have to look that up. But thank you for bringing it to my attention. Prodigious. LOL Mickey impression reminded me of South Park's depiction of the mouse. Yeah, I cannot do I can't do Mickey Mouse impression. I can just do the but that's not really hard to do. But yeah, I love that South Park section of the show that has Mickey Mouse. Really funny. But yeah, there's so much. There's so much coming out. There's so much goodness. I'm really looking forward to everything going on. I'm not going to talk about any spoilers of The Mandalorian, but the Mandalorian episode last night was great, or this morning. It feels like it was last night because I'm exhausted. I hardly slept. But moving forward, we have the last episode of The Mandalorian coming soon. I'm really excited for that. And I really look forward to seeing how they wrap everything up. And with all the Star Wars and Marvel and Disney content coming up, we have our work cut out for us. We have so much to watch, so much to be a part of. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think I'm going to wrap this up shortly because I don't have a whole lot more to say about all that jazz. But if you guys have anything you want to comment, anything that really kind of sticks out to you, I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. Prodigious says the movie with Bette Midler. I'm assuming that's what you meant when you said sounds interesting. Yeah, it's a movie that I think a lot of people. It's called Beaches. It's a movie that I think on the surface a lot of people would just kind of look as like a chick flick or a movie for the ladies, and it's a movie really at its core about friendship and about kind of the hardships that we go through for friendship. I talked a little bit in my review about the fact that I'm really grateful to have a tight knit like circle of friends that have all kind of been through stuff, like we've all been through stuff together, and not just like, oh, we were like, we've gone through these funny, great stories together, which we have. But on top of that, one of my closest friends, for instance, Robert, the Big Rob Theory, Robbie, who's been here on the channel before, we have been through so many ups and downs in our friendship. There's been times where we've been kind of at each other's throat, or we weren't really super close, or there was times where we kind of like grew apart a little bit. But it was all those things kind of maybe doing each other dirty at certain points or just kind of being angry with each other. We fought on many occasions. And here we are now at 27 and 28 being like the best of friends. You know what I mean? And then that goes the same for all of my other best friends. Anybody else that I consider like a brother in my life. Some of the reason that I can call him a brother is because of the maybe the arguments or like the moments that we've had that have really kind of forged our relationship through fire. And I think that that's what the movie's really about. Beaches at its core, it's a story of friendship. It's a story of kind of the turmoils and the ups and downs and the roller coaster of what friendships can be. You know what I mean? And on the surface, again, it can kind of be viewed as like a chick flick, but I think it's a movie that has a lot of heart, a lot of charm, and really just goes to show how, despite any turmoil or struggle in friendships over the years, I think at the end of the day, you can recognize that those moments really do strengthen friendships. They really do strengthen relationships. My relationship with my girlfriend, Haley, is as strong as it is today because of the ups and downs that we've had, and really thoroughly enjoy that movie. If you guys have seen Beaches, I definitely check out my review when it drops. If you guys have not seen Beaches, I definitely recommend checking it out. It was a little long, and at times I didn't know if I liked it. Like for probably like the first 20 minutes, I didn't know if I was liking the movie. But by the end of the movie, I found myself tearing up with a certain event that happens near the end of the film. And I looked over at my girlfriend and I go, damn you, Beaches, getting me all emotional. Didn't expect it, but really thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's see here. Prodigious says, what was the most exciting thing from each segment? Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars. Disney for me, if I was going to say Disney, probably the Baymax or Zootopia show. Pixar, the Buzz Lightyear movie. Marvel, probably the Spider-Man movie that's coming out. I'm really excited about that, even though they didn't talk too much about it. So maybe Into the Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange movie. I'm really excited about that. But I'm really excited about all these shows too. Can't wait to see how they all turn out. And then for Star Wars, probably the thing I was the most excited for. I'm really looking forward to that Rogue Squadron movie directed by Patty Jenkins. I think that she's a fantastic director, and I really look forward to that. But I mean, it's just hard to really pick one. I want to say maybe The Bad Batch is one I'm really excited for, or Acolyte, because it's going to take place during the High Republic era. I see 123 Rock fan said Bette Midler makes an appearance in Seinfeld and pokes fun at beaches. It's pretty funny. Oh, okay. So yeah, I've never really deeply watched Seinfeld. I've just seen a couple episodes here and there, and never really made me laugh too much. But I've always meant to maybe like watch it from the beginning, see if I can get like really into it. But that is funny to know that she made an appearance and made a joke about it. But I agree. The idea of friendship in the movie is great. Yeah, man. I think that they really do. They tackle that part well, even though the film can be a little long-winded and a little bit longer than I feel like it needs to be. And there's elements about it that are definitely dated as far as the attire and the music. And there's some cheesy, cringy moments of the film. It really does do a good job of solidifying, kind of hitting the nail on the head as far as the message of friendship. What's it called? Producer says, "I feel you, Anthony, on your thing on friendship and relationships." Yeah, man, it's an important topic. What do you think Taika Waititi's Star Wars is going to be? I have no idea, but I'm very excited to see what they do, man. I am so excited, and I love that I have no idea. I love that I really don't have any idea what any of this is going to be. When I first saw it all, I felt like overwhelmed, but I'm just super excited to kind of just get this off my chest. I was looking forward to doing the video where so I can just ramble. Even if nobody would have been watching this live, I would have just been rambling the same way that I am right now. But I am really excited to see what it is. Rashad, hey, man, thank you so much for watching for a little bit. I'm going to be hopping off in a moment myself, so I thank you so much. Clone Wars ain't going to watch itself. You're absolutely right. Enjoy each and every second of it, bro. Like I said to everybody else, Rashad has been sending me voice messages or texting me through his journey of the Clone Wars, and I am incredibly, incredibly excited to see what your thoughts are at the end of the show. You have to do a video, Rashad. You got to do a video by the end of it. What's going on, Q? You came back. I don't know if you came back or you were here, but thank you, my friend, for coming in here and checking out. By the way, real quick, because Q Reviews just commented, since I'm going to go, I highly recommend you guys go over to Q Reviews channel and go and check out the video he recently uploaded of his Baby Yoda, his Grogu. He got a Grogu the Child like figurine, one of those like legitimate ones that are pretty expensive, and it's like supposed to be like super hyper realistic, like look like the right out of the show. So he did a video on that, like an unboxing, and he took some great pictures with him and kind of had him in some badass lighting. So for anybody who's a fan of The Mandalorian, a fan of Star Wars, and you kind of want to check that out, go over to Q Reviews channel. He made a really badass video on that. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be my thoughts on everything that came out from Disney that I spoke about. If you guys are watching this after the fact and you maybe are like thinking, hey, you didn't talk about Star Wars, you didn't talk about Marvel, or you didn't talk about this or that, I highly recommend going and over checking out this video. Once it's over, just kind of scoop back to the beginning of this video and you guys can check that out. So thank you guys so much again for watching. I appreciate all the love and support you guys have continually been giving me. It's been so much fun to do this channel. 123 Rock fan, take care, Anthony. Thank you. Take care of yourself. I will be doing some more random rambling live streams very soon. I've just been so tied up with work and life recently. I've just kind of felt exhausted. So I kind of just been shelling out reviews whenever I have like an hour or two to do it. But I haven't had really the energy to kind of do live streams because, it takes a little bit out of me just to kind of like sit here and talk. And this futon is incredibly uncomfortable where I'm sitting right now. So anyway, I have some random rambling set up very, very soon. We're going to be getting those out a lot quicker as time goes on. A big thanks to you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Let me hit end stream here before I say bye-bye. All right, bye-bye.